happening, people? Scarfy Spurslook here, back with another one of these weekly live shows. Today's a big one. As you can see, I'm already joined by Crackers and Marlon. Got Hollie, who's just finishing our show, who will join us later. Firstly, Crackers, how are you doing? Nice to have you back.
Very well, thank you, Harry, and evening, Marlon, and everybody tuning in. And no, thank you for the invite back, and doing all well, and back home now from my sojourn in the UK and doing some nights, and nice to be in a southern part of Europe and not be on fire. So that's always a bonus. So terrible scenes out in Greece, and anybody out there sending some thoughts. But where I am, there's nothing to catch light. Basically, it's just all rock and desert. So, but yeah. All good. Enjoyed the Spurs Leicester game on Sunday. That was fantastic. Exactly. That Daniel Levy's come away from that and gone, have you seen the stats of the defence you said that we need to improve? No goals conceded. Carry on, Ange. No need to spend any money here.
Yeah, no centre-backs needed. Absolutely love that. Great to have you back, Crackers, for your second time. Marlon, great to have you back as well. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm glad I've come back on and I'm with Crackers again. I enjoyed last time, so I'm all happy. You know what? We're talking about the Leicester game. I'm actually quite glad it was cancelled because I want to big shout out to Drew Spence and Becky Spencer yesterday for Jamaica versus France. They were awesome yesterday, I have to say.
Yeah.
A great advert for women's football. And it was 0-0 as well. And it was such a great game. You know what? I didn't care about Leicester and Spurs in the end because I was like, this is a great game to watch. But no, considering, shout out to them. But yeah, glad to be talking about Spurs again. I've kind of missed it, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, well, who would have thought you'd said that? But no, it's great to have you back, Marlon. Yeah, I did actually watch that instead, and it was a cracking game. I can't believe there was no goals in it, put it that way. A reminder, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Free to do so, and it helps the channel and show grow. If you're listening on any other podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review. That'd be massively appreciated. So let's kickstart today's big show and start with, let's go back to the West Ham game since that Leicester game got cancelled. We did technically concede no goals, so I think that kind of counts. But going back to the West Ham game, Crackers, coming to you, what were the positives? What did you like about Ange's first game in charge?
At one stage in the game, the only person in our half was Vicario in the first half. We had everybody over the halfway line. Now, there was a ball over the top that got that defence that doesn't need improving at all, running like Keystone Cops. But just to see us on the front foot, just to see a little bit of positiveness, after Jose and Conte, it was like taking new shoes off, wasn't it? Seeing something that looked and resembled what Spurs really are, what you want to see from a Tottenham side. So just some front foot football. The stats from that game told such a story. The amount of passes, the amount of shots, but then the amount of shots conceded. 4 shots conceded against us, 3 goals conceded. I mean, if that doesn't tell its own tale of where and what needs addressing, then I don't know what. But some fast 1-2 touch football, little triangles, people dropping a shoulder, people actually looking to go forward, to be encouraged to take a player on, not that horseshoe around the edge of the box. It was like, my God, how many more times can we go back and forth in a horseshoe around the edge of the box? So that alone was positive. And Ange, I mean, I'm still okay. Let me entertain you, so to speak, and let's judge what he does once he gets to the real biscuits of things and into the league. But I like the cut of his jib. I like that he actually talks about us. He doesn't turn up in press conferences like Nostradamus and his riddles and the malevolence and you are this and this is the story of you Spurs and you lot of this and you lot of that. Angie's like, we are this, we are that. He's bought into it. So they're all positives for me, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear. Marlon, what do you think of the positives of that West Ham game? Because obviously the result, not what we want, losing 3-2 to West Ham, but the stats were definitely in our favour. Did you enjoy the way we played? Was it nice to watch Tottenham again?
Yeah. Like, look, how many shots we had on goal was brilliant and all sorts. But that first half team, it was probably what you say, a bit sketchy. But the second half team played really, really well. And that was more the football I enjoyed and what I wanted to see. But that was the second string, funny enough. And if you looked at the second half team, it was most of the team that had spent weeks with Ange on the training pitch, where the other team was, a lot of them just come back short. So it was all there was a lot of positives, and you can't have that many amount of shots and miss that many. And Spurs can't be doing that if it's coming into spring, because we won't get most of them chances again. But no, positives. Big Ange is making an impression. As Cracker said, it's great to hear a manager actually speak positive about the club. Yeah, I didn't mind Conte, if I'm being completely honest. I never did. But I'm all happy with what Ange is doing. But then, to be honest, me and Ashmack went on our channel, did a whole thing on Big Ange when he first signed up. And what we saw against West Ham was exactly what I was expecting. If you don't give the guy a defence, it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. Welcome onto the show, Hollie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry I'm late, but thank you for having me. Better late than never, I guess.
Better late than never, hey? But no, I think it's your first time on the show. Is that right?
It is. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know I've been on your show, so I thought I'd return the favour. But getting straight into it, Hollie, question for you. So what were the positives? They're going back to that West Ham game. Obviously, not the result we wanted, but were there any positives you can take out of that going forward?
I think there was plenty. I think if we take out the defence, which is pretty much every conversation we have with Spurs, you can sit there and think, actually, there was a lot of good passage of plays. I mean, to have 27 shots on goal, you kind of think to yourself, okay, the attacking football is kind of back at Spurs. Yes, okay, we didn't obviously score more than West Ham, but I think there's telltale signs that there's a culture at Spurs that is slowly changing with Ange, and I quite like that. It's nice to see players actually thrive under an attacking style of play, because let's not get it wrong, we've seen a lot of depressing football, especially last season. I needed a lot of therapy sessions to get through every weekend with how we were playing, but it's definitely nice now to see us going forward. So yeah, there's lots of positives. Obviously they're not free of negatives, but I'm happy in the direction we're kind of going with that first pre-season game.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Crackers, coming back to you, the all-important questions. How many centre-backs do we need? We can see the 3 goals against West Ham. They only had 4 shots. So what we leaning towards?
14 centre-backs. That's what we do need two centre-backs minimum, absolute minimum. Box ready to go, out, in, playing. The people have been saying really you needed them to come into a pre-season tour. I get that, but if you buy good enough, you don't need them ready for the pre-season tour. Good centre-backs will come in and just play. So look, deals take a long time to get done. This is somewhere where I'm not going to give the club a kick in, and I've been known to at times. But the club's not saying these things are taking time. This is just being played out in the press, and we see it all going on. Don't try and buy a house for, I don't know, £600,000, although I think they're about £12 million each now in the UK, aren't they? But try and buy a house. Takes weeks, absolutely weeks, for £500,000. Now go and try and buy a person with feelings and everything and emotions, and from another club to bring to your club and deal with all their commercial commitments, etc., etc. These things can take a long time to happen. I mean, when people say, "Oh, they Club X identified a player and got him over the line," and we only heard about that sort of 2 days ago. What's probably happening is on their social channels, they've been talking about the deal getting done for the same amount of time as we have. So, yeah, we definitely need a couple of centre-backs. They're talking about Longley coming in. He's not the answer. He really is not the answer. If you're going to do that, I'd rather go a bit younger and have somebody come in and progress into the role rather than Longley. Lovely passer of the ball, the dead ball and everything, but I just don't see him cutting the mustard in Ange's system. So, but look, once we stride Harry, we won't need any defenders because we're just not even coming back past the halfway line. We're just going to be camped out in the opposition's box. So all you need is a goalkeeper and a midfield. That's it. No centre backs needed.
Well, Daniel Levy would love to hear that. Hollie, how many centre backs do we need?
I don't know. I don't want to say a lot because we do actually have a lot of centre backs. They're just not to the quality or the calibre that we need them to be, and I think that's the biggest problem. I think everybody's always said we needed two, and I think that's probably the correct statement. We need two quality centre backs. Obviously, we've got Romero, but if he gets injured, we're going to then see the likes of really live another season with Eric Dyer. I'm not saying that it's not going to become the case because it probably might well be, but I'd like there to be an option where he potentially will sit on the bench. Whether that's going to be the case or not, I do not know. But it's got to be two centre-backs. Obviously, we've been heavily linked with Mickey DeVen for God knows how long, and the same with Tapsoba. And I get what Crackers is saying is that for us as Spurs fans, and all we see in the outlet at the moment is these two deals taking forever. But there's got to come a point where we need to actually go and cut this deal because we're going to be here for months and months still at this same position. We knew even before the season ended that we needed two centre-backs or we needed at least a centre-back, and we're still nowhere closer to getting that. So yeah, for me, get those two over the line because I'm sick now of not having them, so to speak. It'll just be interesting whether they will be the two guys that come in.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Marlon, sorry, how many centre-backs do we need, and who are your ideal two centre-backs?
I agree with the rest of the panel. We need two. It's a minimum. But I'm still in the mindset of, after last week, Wednesday, we still need a goalkeeper. I don't think Vicario is going to cope in the Premier League. And this goes from weeks ago when me and Ashmatic done a video on Vicario, he's going to struggle in the Premier League. And I think West Ham brought out his struggles in that first half. And I know it's one game and everyone's going, you can't judge a player on one game, but you can. Because I saw bits in Solomon where I went, didn't have the best of games, but, you know, he still was good enough for me to go, I can see where they're going with that. Defensive-wise, you need to. Yeah, Hollie's right. If Romero gets injured, we're screwed. We can't have Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga. Tanganga had a terrible first half. Like, literally one of the worst first halves I've seen him have for a while as well. So, deals are taking long because, let's be honest, Ange wasn't their first choice. So you have to wait till the new manager comes in. Once the new manager comes in, he then needs to approve. Like he approved Vicario apparently, and he approved Maddison because they were deals that were being done a while back. But they've obviously had some deals for defenders that they brought to Big Ange, and he went, I don't want them. So then they've had to reset and start again. But the fact that we've been linked with these two defenders for how many weeks, and we're getting different outlets, it's just getting frustrating for us Spurs fans to be looking at it. And then for today, for rumours to come out that Longley's on his way back, and then Tosin is probably going to be, look, nothing against Tosin because I don't mind him. But again, you're looking at it going, centre-backs has been a problem since last season. Centre-backs was a problem the season before. Centre-backs were a problem the season before that. And we're still going down the same route 3 or 4 years after. They were a problem for Mourinho. They were a problem for Conte, right? And both of them suffered. Now, if you don't get these two centre-backs in, if Big Ange doesn't get the results that you want, who's going to take blame for that? And that's the big question that needs to be asked right now. Look, I don't really care who the defenders are, as long as they're the ones that Big Ange wants. He's got to want them as well, because we could all want Tapsoba and Mickey van de Ven, but if he doesn't want them, apparently he wants Mickey van de Ven out of the two, right? That's what the rumours that are coming out. But if he doesn't want those two, then don't go after those two. Go and get the guys that he wants to play his system and working, because what we saw last week was the players are bought into it. How many shots on target or on goal at least? Go and get the players he wants. He's proven after one game you can trust him.
Yeah, well, fair enough. So Fabrizio Romano put out a tweet this evening saying that Edmund Tapsoba remains top of the list for Tottenham and they're still in talks for him, but apparently the deal isn't easy. So Crackers, what do you make of that? And out you say we need at least 2 centre-backs. Is Tapsoba on that list?
I like Tapsoba and I like Mickey van der Ven as well, but I'm with Marlon. It's who Ange wants. He's the manager, and if he wants it and it suits his system, then he should get that. And that not only goes for incomings, that goes for outgoings as well. So, I mean, this is all something that needs to be, some mutual agreement going on between manager and his needs, club and their need, director of football, and the three of those elements together should come together and find a way forward and find a solution. So, the manager would say, he's really my top choice and I want you to go out and try and get him. Sometimes a player doesn't want to come or a deal can't get done. So have a plan B. It's when you start getting to plan C and D and, which is sometimes where we end up, because the club just won't push that little bit further. What's the problem has been is, as Marlon said, this centre-back position's been a problem and it's not been addressed. Now it's a real urgency, and, we've got to try and put 2 players in there. If they're good enough, they fit in. But where's the line of succession coming? I mean, I see that we was in for the lad Phillips, wasn't we, a few days ago. Now, to me, that makes perfect sense. At his age, he comes in, he plays maybe some cup games in the under-21s, etc., and he starts to come in, and then by the time he's ready and somebody's looking to move on, he slots straight in. That's what you need. You need that constant capillary action, that sort of tank tracks almost, of one in and then somebody's ready to go. Always somebody underneath ready and preparing. So, if he comes in, I wouldn't want him to be in the first team, Phillips, but certainly I want him to be in and around the club and the squad, ready to come in and fit in. So, both those defenders, more than capable, more than decent. Somebody to be alongside Romero. I think a lot of Romero's problems has been Romero's had to do 2 jobs. There's a little bit of that Latin hot-headedness with him as well, but that comes with players of that nature. That's where I live. These are the lads that my lad plays with. They are that they can be a bit hot-headed and they can go throw themselves in sometimes. So we're possibly going to lose him now and then for a red card or suspensions as well. So we definitely need those 2 centre backs to come in. So both of them preferably, but there's also an argument as well, Harry. If you can't get the deals done for the players that you want, don't just go and buy somebody for the sake of it, because they're on a 3-4 year deal. Now, it might be that you chuck 20 million quid, which sounds crazy, but that's chump change now, isn't it? When you look at Kylian Mbappe today, 20 million quid is literally what you've got in the smash jar by the front door if you're going to buy a pint of milk, isn't it, now at a football club? Don't buy them, because then they're on a huge contract for 4 years and you've got to try and move them on. That's the problem we've had. I think I'd rather see us try and muddle through a little bit to January and then try and get a deal done for somebody that we do want. So we've got to sort of break this cycle of the way we've been buying players. So let's see. let's see. It's not 5-11 on deadline day yet, so just be thankful for the deals we have done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Crackers. Hollie, you said we needed 2 centre backs ideally. Who would those 2 be? And are you disappointed that the club have failed to address the centre back issue before we went on a pre-season tour?
I think so, because I kind of want to pick on a thing that Marlon said in the sense of Vicario, and I kind of get it. I don't think he was potentially like what we all wanted him to be, but we have to remember he's very young. But he's also got 2 centre backs in front of him that were incapable of being centre backs. So I think that's also something that I kind of feel for Vicario in that kind of sense. And if we had if we already got them across the line already to come to the pre-season with him, they maybe gel together and work out a system that's better. Because I think for a goalkeeper, you're confident if you've got confident players in front of you. And I think at the moment where those 2 centre-backs aren't the best, shall we say, I think it's probably why he maybe struggled a little bit. But yeah, I think like these guys have pointed out, obviously Mickey Devine and Tapsoba are the ones that everybody's talking about. But what Crackers and Marlon said in the sense that if it's not what Ange wants, don't bother going to get them. Because at the end of the day, he's the man at the helm that's going to be coaching these players. And they've got to be a right fit for him and his system. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd kind of say on the whole debate of it all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Before we move on to the Leicester game, which is cancelled, for people who are listening live on YouTube Monday night, get involved in the comments because we will discuss your opinions and questions that you have. And we'll also stay tuned to the end. We also get through your questions you put forward on Twitter last week. So moving on to that Leicester game, which was cancelled.
Harry, just one thing, yeah. I think the most frustrating thing for Spurs fans at the moment, especially with Tapsoba, is that Villa went and signed Diaby off Leverkusen, and it didn't take that long. And it's the exact same club, and it's probably more of a player they need than, because obviously they've got Jonathan Tah as well at the back as well. So they've got 2 defenders there already, but Diaby is probably someone who was a shining light for them. So we're, as Spurs fans, we're looking at the way Aston Villa do business at the moment, and they've managed to get a player from Leverkusen and not take so long. So you can understand where the frustration is now coming from Spurs fans to go, why is it always taking long for Spurs? Apparently, like Van der Ven was at the training ground weeks ago, and Werder Bremen have put up. But at the end of the day, Spurs have put this thing in place now. We haven't signed a centre back for how long? Everyone can see our desperation for a centre back. These clubs are going to try it. Yeah. They're not going to just let us roll them over. So at the end of the day, sometimes you can't be Spurs about it. You've just got to go and get the deal done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Aston Villa, because they has done some fantastic business in the summer, and I think there'll be a real force next season. I mean, they got that 7th spot, that Conference League spot. I mean, under Emery, under a full season, I don't know what they could achieve, but I think it can only go up under Emery. Barney says Tosin keeps being linked to you lot. I've got a feeling he'll end up with Spurs from us. And big up the show, Harry. So if people who don't know, Barney is a Fulham fan. I don't know if he's worried about losing Adebayo. I don't think he's ready to be our main centre-back, but he could be potentially our centre-back. But Barney, you may have something to be worried about with the links with Marco Silva and also Mitrovic as well. So Fulham could be losing a few valuable players. But moving on to that Leicester game, which was cancelled for people who don't know because of that waterlogged pitch out in Thailand. So Marlon, coming back to you, is this a bad thing for Ange? And how bad is it, obviously, not getting to see those players? Obviously, it's bad for any new manager that comes in. You have one less game to look at the player to get his style across. Do you think it will affect us going into the new season, or is it just one game? Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, I didn't see. I saw the backlash on social media and thought it's taking it a bit too far on, Spurs organising a pre-season game in Thailand during monsoon season. It happens, all right? It wasn't safe enough for them to play. Leicester were there too. They've organised the exact same trip. These things happen. Is it ideal or not? I don't know. Look, it's more days on the training pitch. We still haven't got it just means that the players are now more. I know people say they need games. Don't get me wrong, but it just means now Ange will be able to be more on the training pitch with them and be able to get his message across. So when we do play, the pub team, as everyone keeps calling them, on Wednesday, maybe the instructions will seep through, and then maybe when we go into the next game, we'll be one step ahead, and we'll be, we won't have played all these friendlies and whatnot, what we've been expected to play every year. So not ideal preparations, but at the same time, the players will just move on from it. They'll go. I think they're off to Singapore next. It's what they do. I wouldn't look. Another friendly was penciled in last minute against Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, so it's nothing to worry about. That's the game to see where Spurs are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hollie, so you obviously got some clubs that played 3, even 4 pre-season games already. We've only had that one, which obviously we lost to West Ham. So does it concern you, obviously, the lack of minutes and the lack of time that Ange's perhaps got to see them on the pitch? Or like Marlon, did you look at it as just one game, more time on the training pitch?
It's actually quite interesting because I didn't really think about it until Marlon said about obviously time on the training pitch. And I guess, yes, it's another way to get his points across to the team. I don't know. I just feel like where these groups of players have always played under a negative style of football, to then put that into practice is probably the best place to do that within a game. So yeah, it was annoying that the Leicester game didn't happen, and I totally get it. Yeah, okay, it's an unfortunate event. It just baffles me that it just happens to Spurs again, and it is annoying. But it just means the next games that we go into, we just have to hit the ground running, because okay, these results don't necessarily matter. For me, it's the shape and how we attack, and yes, how we defend, but it's getting those players back within that rhythm of attacking football again, because it has been so long since that has kind of happened. So for me, it's not a massive worry, but it is a worry as these days get closer and closer. The time that these players get to mold together and play a game is getting thinner and thinner. And let's not forget that the first 2 games are not going to be hitting us lightly when we hit off the Premier League. So minutes for me is top priority at the moment. I just hope that, like I say, the Sailor team we play against, we manage to actually put practice into motion.
Yeah, let's hope so. Thank you, Hollie. Crackers, what do you make of it and the idea behind obviously scheduling that game against Leicester out in Thailand? Know that there's always that possibility of rain. Can you understand why the club have done that? And who's it going to hurt most that the game's been called off? Is going to hurt Ange the most, not being able to see the players for minutes in the legs, or does it not really matter at all? More time on the training pitch. How do you look at it?
I mean, these friendly games like this really are just glorified training sessions. Both sides sort of take them to get minutes into their legs. So you can kind of replicate what you would be doing on the training pitch as much as you can in these games to a point. You can probably get, I don't know, 2/3 of what you want into the players on just a training session as you can a friendly game. So I feel sorry for the fans really, because Thailand's absolutely chock-a-block with some fantastic, passionate, knowledgeable fans, and they get that one chance to actually see a game, and then it goes, so I kind of feel sorry for them more than anything really. But yeah, let's see. I mean, I did float the idea yesterday of maybe squeezing another game in somewhere, maybe against a lower league side that could do with a bit of a leg up. Somebody came to me with the idea of a Justed Edinburgh Cup game where Orient play Tottenham at the Lane. You could raise some vital funds for the JE3 Foundation with that. So I don't know. Maybe it's difficult to now schedule something like that in, but look, we've seen pre-seasons before and teams go out and they've been winning 6 and 7-0, and you think to yourself, when we get to the season, we're going to properly have it this year. Have you seen our pre-season? Next thing, wallop, and you're in the madhouse. And then you've seen teams like Arsenal the other night. They got battered, and what's happening with them? And they look terrible. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. Pre-seasons are literally just training games, and they found a way to monetize them. Who would have thought that they'd try to rinse every last penny out of fans, even in the off season? So no, not too worried really. As long as they got a training session in, then it's all good.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Moving on to what is it's sometimes uncomfortable, but a topic that needs to be talked about, and that is Harry Kane and his future. So let's get straight into it and ask the all-important question. Starting with you, Marlon. Will Harry Kane be a Tottenham Hotspur player when the window shuts on the 1st of September?
in a weird way, look, no. And I really kind of look, we can't let Harry Kane leave Spurs on a free transfer, right? This is a club that need, like 3-4 years ago, I'd have probably had a different answer. But the club needs a rebuild, right? If we're playing Oliver Twist and we're playing poor, right, that we can't go and get 2 centre backs and we need the money, go and get the money and invest in 2 centre backs, right? Because we can't allow him to leave for free, especially everything he's done for us and we've done for him. We've got to get something. And this is one of the first times I would probably say if Daniel Levy kept him and he let him go for free, I just wouldn't understand it. I wouldn't, like, for the first time, I'm actually going, let him go. Let him go. Let Ange build. Because let's be honest, if it's not this season, it's next season. He's going to have to leave eventually. So we might as well get money for him now. I'm not going to say it's all going to be a bed of roses and we're going to do well without him, because I know we're not. But it's a case of we need to have his replacement in as well. So there's also that on top, right? And if we're taking this long to get 2 central defenders in, how long do you think it's going to take us to get a striker in that is probably not available or doesn't want to come? So we're kind of stuck. We are kind of stuck at the moment, but we could, Harry Kane needs to go. If he wants to go, right, which he pretty much does, because Son had rumours that, Saudi were coming in for a bid, came out 2 days later, I'm not going, I'm at Spurs, this, that, and the other. The club and Harry Kane have allowed this to rumble on, and you can see Big Ange is getting frustrated with it as well, right? He doesn't need this. And this is again with Spurs, just tightly, giving a manager with his hands tied behind his backs. Right, they did it with Nuno when Kane came in. Wasn't ideal. Look how it disrupted the whole of pre-season. Is the same thing happening again? And you just don't want that to happen. But if he's going to stay, Harry Kane, the club, need to come out and say he's not going. Let's get on with it. But they're just allowing this to happen, and it's just not great for anybody, and not great for us fans, because we don't even know if he's coming or going as well, right? And we're sitting here going, oh, we need 2 centre backs. We could need a striker in a few weeks. And we don't want to be left in the same situation with Fraser Campbell and Pavlyuchenko. So
that's the thing.
We've been here before. And that's the biggest worry.
Yeah, it's definitely I watch a situation that needs to be kept an eye on. What I will say about it is, I completely agree. The last thing we need is it to drag on for Ange, for the players, for the supporters going into a new season. You do not want it to drag on. But I will say is I think silence from Kane is deafening, and the fact he hasn't shut it down, hasn't come out to speak about it. And you just don't want it to drag on for Kane's sake either, for anyone around him. It's just not what we need when we're trying to put the past 3-4 years behind us, go again with a completely different style, different idea, and just generally into a new season. You don't need things like that. Kind of haunting, if you like, a new manager. But Hollie, the all-important question, Marlon's answer it now your turn. Will Harry Kane be a Tottenham Hotspur player come the 1st of September?
Honestly, I'm gonna give a rubbish answer. So I honestly do not know, because everything is up in the air at the moment. I don't know whether I'm on episode 3 of EastEnders, episode 10, episode 11. It literally feels like that at the moment. Well, the thing I will say, and yes, I've probably said it in the past, the silence of Harry Kane is really annoying. But I also think to myself, is it actually Harry Kane that has any influence on what he can say or do? I think that the people very close to him, aka Charlie Kane, probably doesn't give him the best of advice. And in Kane's defence, does he really need to come out and say anything? Yes, he does for us as fans, if I have my fans head on. But for him, he doesn't need to. And that's the most frustrating thing, because for us as fans, like you say, it is just absolute turmoil every single day. And I also think it's the media's fault, because they just run with everything. I think I could sit here and write a tweet and say that I'm in the know, 0.6 or something, and they would just run with it, especially in Bayern Munich and stuff. So if I'm going to answer your question, I want to say yes. I mean, the only thing I would say yes to, I mean, I'd probably sound like sitting like an absolute crazy woman, is that he's going to sign that deal, because Daniel Levy's given an ultimatum, supposedly. That is, if you sign a new deal or we're getting rid of you. The only thing I can think, and if he does leave on the free next season, the only thing I can think is that if we manage to get a European spot, again, sounding like a crazy person, would that kind of have paid for us qualifying? Would that have paid for the fee that we maybe would have got to? I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. But the ball is, as you say, potentially in Harry Kane's hands. So it's whatever he wants to do. I just think having a baby on the way, is he going to want to uproot? I don't know. It's very difficult right now. And the only person who knows what he wants to do is Harry Kane himself. And sadly, we're not a fly on the wall to see what he's going to decide.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Holly. For people who are listening live on YouTube, get involved in the comments, give us your opinions. We will bring them up about Harry Kane. We know how important topic is crackers. So 2 questions here. First one, the all-important one, will Harry Kane be a Tottenham Hotspur player when the window slams shut on the 1st of September? And what do you make of the way that Bayern have handled it publicly to the media?
Yes. Oh, wow. I don't know. I just do not know. There's some huge decisions to be made. The club have obviously going to have a benefit of selling him this window and getting a good fee for him. If they don't, then I think he just walks next summer. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to stay. I think he wants to go. I think he wants to challenge himself elsewhere. I've had a few kickings down the seasons regarding Harry Kane and having him as world class. I think he's way too good for us, for starters. And I think he sits that much just below that world class standard. And I kind of think that that's being played out now, in that it's only Bayern Munich that are actually in for him. If you have a stone wall, solid gold, world-class player, Madrid and Barcelona come in for you as well. Even if they don't need you, they take you. They come in for you. They try and bring you to the club. And they haven't come in for him. And I don't know. Look, if he goes, I'll still be a Tottenham fan. I've seen Hoddle go. I've seen Gascoigne go. I've seen Klinsmann come and go. I've seen Teddy come and go. Lots of players come and go. And, you know, life will go on. It may be that he's just become a bit too much of a figurehead of the club. Perhaps you know, Pep was right when he said it's the Harry Kane team. It could well be. It could well be. Perhaps, you know, perhaps we need to be a little bit more of a team than the Harry Kane team. I'm not sure whether he totally fits Ange's system either, because he wants pressing right up top, and Harry doesn't do that. He wants that real intensive press. Harry doesn't do that. But you can't get away from the fact that he's just a fantastic goal scorer, a brilliant goal scorer. This might sound a little bit contradictory. He's a world-class goal scorer, but I think he's a player that has world-class moments, a few world-class games, but not enough total, solid, all-round, week in, week out, world-class sort of impact on games. So I don't know, Harry, if he goes or not. If he does and we get the money, will the team get that money? Do we buy 2 centre-backs with that and just solidify at the back a little bit more? When we lost Harry Kane for a few games last time, Sonny stepped up. Richarlison may need a run. He is Brazil's number 9 after all. I know there's a lot of people going, I'm not having Richarlison, but he is Brazil's number 9 and he gets in over and above Jesus.
And do the high pressing. You mentioned the high pressing that Kane not willing to do that. I think
which Richarlison does. Yes. In a parallel universe, I'd be tempted to be a little bit brave, sell him and go for Ivan Toney. That's who I'd take. I really like Ivan Toney, and I think he would suit Ange's system better than Harry Kane would. So I don't know. I wouldn't like to be Daniel Levy at this moment, because if he sells him, well, listen, he gets a kick in anyway. So, like, another 10 boots going in, and he doesn't care either. So I think he wants to go. Just I don't know. But Bayern Munich, they are a huge club. Don't get me wrong. But they're not a sexy, huge club, are they? You don't sort of go around the holiday resorts of Europe and see kids running around in Bayern Munich shirts unless they're from Munich. You see them in their PSG shirts, and you see them in Madrid shirts and Barca shirts. Who wears a Bayern Munich shirt? They're not a sexy club, are they? So
they will if Kane goes there. They will be. There'll be a lot of people wearing it.
I don't know. Well, there's one going begging from a press conference if you want it. That went well, didn't it?
Oh yes.
I don't know, Harry. Let's see. It's a funny old game, isn't it? 6 months ago, would you have had Kylian Mbappe heading off to the desert to earn £1 billion? I mean, it's just a crazy game now. Absolutely, it's off its head. It really is. It's crazy. But let's see. Look, whatever happens, Tottenham will turn out first game of the season, and I, and everybody else will be getting behind them, whoever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, no player is bigger than the club. As great as Harry Kane is and what he's done for the club, at the end of the day, the club comes first. We're not Harry Kane FC. We've relied on him a lot of moments, carried us at a lot of moments, but we've got to think about the team, I think, as well. Team's best interests, don't let it drag on, if you ask me. But Marlon, what do you make of the way that Bayern have handled this whole situation?
It's Bayern Munich. They're a big club. This is how big clubs act, unfortunately. Like, let's be honest, Bayern, this is not new from Bayern. This is what they do. They've gone and taken players from Dortmund in the past and just completely they've always acted this way. But they've had like the owner came out and said, Harry Kane's people have spoken to him, right? He has obviously given their word. They don't come out like he hasn't. This is not all rubbish, right? And I'm going to answer that Premier League top goal scorer question in a minute as well, because I've got a theory about it. But this is how big clubs act. Barcelona used to do it. Real Madrid do it. This is what they do. This is nothing new. When Gareth Bale was going off to Real Madrid, how did they act? They acted exactly the same way, right? They got their man in the end for 80 odd million. It happens. When Coutinho was going Barcelona, they acted exactly the same way to Liverpool. It's what they do, and they've always been like this, right? But it's down to Kane, the club, and everybody to get this resolved as quickly as possible. They just need something, just needs to give, and that's what we're waiting for. But I could give a crap if had a way Bayern have acted. When I see Spurs fans whinging about it, I'm like, well, if you want to be a big club, this is what you do. You go to the smaller clubs, because we've done it. We've done it to smaller clubs, right? And we've acted like a bully. So why can't they come and do it to us? They've got checked. Look, at the end of the day, there was something that the Bayern Munich chairman said, and Harry Kane has always said this: we can't offer him Champions League football. They can, right? And let's be honest, they can offer him that for the next 3 or 4 seasons. We can't guarantee that, because the way we've been acting these last few years, right? We've only had play Champions League once since Poch left. How many managers, how many players have we been through? Harry Kane wants to be playing at the top level week in, week out. Whether that's at Bayern or not, as Cracker said, they might not be sexy, but they'll be playing in the Champions League every season, right? And that's what he wants. He wants to be playing at the top, in the top competition, year in, year out. Now, if Manchester City ain't going to buy him, look, he's willing to go Manchester City. And probably I go Liverpool are the only ones that are guaranteed to be playing Champions League football for the next 3 or 4 years. Arsenal might not, Arsenal playing in it now, but look how long it's taken them to get into it, right? Chelsea are not even playing it this season, right? They're hoping that Poch gets them back. Yes, it goes to a 5th spot this year because of the way they're trying to do it, but Harry Kane has always said, right, and he said this 2-3 years ago, I want to play in the top competition, and that's what he wants. At the end of the day, Spurs can't even get 2 centre-backs, not even at top clubs. Let's be out there, over the line. So how the hell are we going to sit there and convince a man to sign a new contract when we're still acting the same way we did last year and the year before, right? And just one more thing about Harry Kane and his Premier League top goal scorer record.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, I was crunching the numbers, right? So he could leave the Premier League for 3 seasons, right? He could go to Bayern Munich for 3 seasons. That takes him up to 33, right? Now, Lewandowski and Benzema are still playing. They're 34 going on 35. Say Harry Kane plays onto he's at the top level, right, and comes back to the Premier League, where it's say 37, 38, because he's never relied on pace. He could do a Teddy Sheringham for all we know, right? He only has to score an average of 10 league goals a season, right, to break it, right? If you give him another 3 or 4 years in the Premier League, right, he'll get 10 penalties in between that time every season.
Or even if
right?
he has 2 years of Bayern, even more time.
Yeah, he could more like he's so close to that record. He could leave for 2 years, come back and still break that record. Because as Cracker said, if he's that close to world class, and I think if he goes to Bayern Munich, I think people will start talking about him in a world class bracket, right? Because if he goes to Bayern Munich, I think it also takes them into Champions League contenders, right? Because if you look at the game they lost against Manchester City, if they had a Harry Kane, that game's different, right? And this is the only club, and they have won the Champions League in the last few years. Everyone keeps forgetting all these things. Bayern Munich are a top club, and they've got the manager to, take them over the line. So it's one of those things. Bayern Munich are acting like a top club. I'm not mad with them. This is what they do. We would do it to a championship club. We would do it to most of the Premier League clubs. We will do exactly the same thing. We've done it. So I'm not mad at them.
All right, fair enough. Hollie, before we move on, what do you make of the way that Bayern have handled it? Have you lost any respect for Bayern? Do you think they've been a bit unprofessional?
I would say I had until Marlon started speaking, and I was like, actually, yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, Hollie.
It's okay. It's shown me the way. It's shown me the light.
Different perspective.
Yeah, pretty much. I've had to take the Spurs hat off now. Personally, as a Spurs fan, I don't like it. I'm not about it. If I take the Spurs hat off, I guess, like Marlon said, it's kind of what the big clubs do. They go in the big man bully, rough you up a bit, and then be like, look, come over here, mate. So I don't know. It's not something I'd like us to do. Although Marlon said we've done it in the past, I think there's a bit of respect that you need to have, and I think they've gone a bit over the line. But it is what it is, and if that's how they're going to deal with things, and if they do manage to get Kane, fair play. I mean, they've managed to get what they wanted to get, so it is what it is, I guess. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So moving on to the questions people put forward last week ahead of the show. I'm going to start with you. Cracker's going to ask you the first question. So the first question is for Barney, who I know is tuning in. He says, what would you consider to be a successful season realistically?
Good question, Barney. So all we need this season really is to finish anywhere above 8th and play some football for your 60, 70, £200 a game that you can come away and go, I enjoyed that. People really have exactly. People have lost that element of being entertained when you go to football. Sometimes you don't get a win, but there you go. Bobby Spurs, just a breakaway. Kane leaves Spurs. Spurs win a cup. Spursy. Yeah, very, very true, Bobby.
True.
Yeah, look, we've got to hold our nerve this season as fans, because this is all a brave new world. We've got a terrible muscle memory of playing under Jose and Antonio Conte. So we're introducing a completely new style of play. We've got a new goalkeeper, hopefully some new centre-backs. We've actually got an attacking midfielder. We've got a lockpicker in Maddison. So everything is all very, very new. A new manager as well, who's unproven. So I think this season we'll land out a few wallopings, and I think we'll get a few wallopings. Now, when we get those wallopings, don't get too down. When we hand a couple out, don't get too excited. This is a real transitional season. This is reminding me all of the Pochettino first season, where he gave them all a chance, had a look at things, and then went from there. And he got to the end of the season and went, right, okay, I've had a look at you all. I've let you sort yourselves out a little bit. Now I'm the sheriff, and this is what's going to happen. So anything more than 8th, and to actually once or twice get up off of my seat because I've been enthralled by what I've seen, rather than getting up off of my seat to go and get a cup of tea or an half-time beer, and I'll be happy. What I want to see, Harry, is us have a go at the cups this year. No excuse.
take it seriously.
There's no popping off to the back of Azerbaijan on a Thursday night to play Dynamo Cheeky Girl this year. So we've got none of that old nonsense going on. If we're going to playing these cups, and I don't want to be going to Sheffield with X, Y, and Z sat on the bench and getting like a cuffing of like 1-0. I want us to see us have a right good go at the cups. That's a successful year for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It'd be nice to actually treat them seriously. Hollie, I'm going to ask you the next question from Ted. Ted says, do you think Ange will be a success at Tottenham?
Oh, what a nice question, Ted. I think so. I think the main thing that we need to remember is kind of what Cracker said. We need to change the whole ethos at the club in terms of the vibe. And that sounds really cliche, but you saw those players at the end of last season, even throughout last season, how depressed they all looked and how depressed we were. And I'm not saying that excuses their performance, but I'm just saying we need to create this culture back at Tottenham. And I think in terms of the word success, I think it's like Cracker said, to actually go on and have an attacking style of play this season, to actually go out and win some games in a style that isn't sitting back and allowing all the pressure onto us. It's actually putting great passages of play together. And like I said, I'm so done with sitting on the sofa or sitting at games and being like, right, I need a break from this because it's driving me up the wall. I just need a season where, okay, not every game's going to be easy. Not every game's going to be we're winning all the time, but just so I can feel like actually I've got my Spurs back. And I think we've all kind of lost touch with our team at the moment. So with the term success for Ange, I think it's just instilling that back within the fan base and the team. And that's kind of what I see as a success at the moment. And once you got that part, the games and the points will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Hollie. Nice answer. And thank you for the question, Ted. Marlon, I'm asking the next question. Ray says, hi, Harry. So do we sell Harry Kane and get Mickey van der Ven and tap sober, or keep Harry Kane this summer and just get one unnamed random centre-back this window? That is an interesting question.
Do you know what? Like, I've kind of answered it already. I would literally sell Harry Kane and get the 2 defenders. But I look at it, if we were to keep Harry Kane, and I think only crackers will understand this scenario, because it was like when I watched the West Ham game. It'd be like going back to Ozzy Ardela's days, where you had this absolutely great attack, but your defense just let you down all the time, right? And that's how I saw that. That's exactly how I saw the West Ham game. And I just think with Big Ange, you know, he can have all the attack in the world, but if the defense is not sorted, I'd rather it be where I saw in the second half where Richarlison was up front. Yeah, he can't score for anything, right? But he caused so many problems where Perisic and Doji and everyone else were able to score the goals, and it was coming from elsewhere. And that's what I liked. So I would probably go for the 2 centre-backs. So you don't have what happened in the last 10 minutes, where Sanchez gets caught and it completely goes past him. A typical Sanchez kind of work. So, and that's my biggest worry, is that I don't want an Aussie again. That's what I see in Big Ange and Aussie didn't have a defence either. So again, I would probably go and get the 2 defenders.
From one Aussie to another, Harry, isn't it? two Aussies, two Aussies, different spelling, same football.
Yeah, there you go. Hollie, come back to you for the next question from Callum. Callum says, Harry, do you reckon Phillips from Blackburn will be a youth squad player or a backup first team centre back?
I think, like Cracker said earlier, I think he's definitely one for the future. I think he's definitely one that potentially come in cup games. He's got obviously a lot of talent with him, with his young age. Again, he needs to settle in. He's far too early to just plonk him straight in there, especially even just as like a person on the bench. So for cup games, yes. I just think it's the timing with everything that's what's put a bit like a dark cloud over the signing of him, just in terms of the fact we haven't got those 2 centre-backs yet. So now we're going for one for the future. It's a bit like, brilliant. We still haven't solved the problem yet. So, yeah, no, I think he's definitely one that's going to be ready for the future. Not necessarily going to be on the bench for the Prem games, I don't think, not just yet.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Good answer. Crackers, come back to you for the next question. Fiona says, you're in a plane with Harry Kane, Ledley King, and Glenn Hoddle. The plane is going to crash. There are only 3 parachutes and you have to take one. You have to choose who misses out. Who do you pick?
I'm taking all three in case the other two don't open. Every man for himself when that plane's going down. Oh, that's just an impossible question for me to answer. Who's that? It's Glenn Hoddle. Yeah.
Harry Kane and Ledley King.
Right. Okay. Oh, man. Right. So Ledley, wow. I know. Glenn, I know. And I grew up idolising Glenn. So Glenn gets the first one. I don't know. I've got to give it to Ledley. I'm doing Legends Nights until I'm not doing him with Harry Kane. So he can go because I can't earn a living if either the other two go, can I? There's my answer. Although Glenn could probably just flap his arms and fly down. He's such a god to me.
Absolutely love it.
Glenn's a magician,
mate. Just float down.
Great answer. Great question. It made me laugh when I saw that. Marlon, I'll ask you the last question. Mikey says, will Hugo Lloris get a proper send-off, testimony and all of that? Or will it end on that low for Newcastle?
This is Spurs, man. No, of course he's not going to get a proper send-off. He didn't even go, look, if he wanted a proper send-off, he could have gone to Australia with him. And he hasn't even sorted out his move. It's unfortunate because I like Hugo. I really do. And hopefully, in years to come, he'll be on a Legends Night with Crackers. But no, it's unfortunate that Newcastle will be what he'll be remembered by. But his debut weren't great either when he started against Arsenal. So let's be honest, he started how he finished. But he had a great in between. And it's just unfortunate the way the last 2 years have gone for Hugo, because before that moment, I loved him. I couldn't get enough of him. And hopefully the club will do something when he retires and say, look, you've been, longest serving player for probably the last one that he'll be. Hopefully do something for him. But I suppose it depends, innit? How much money can the club make out of it is going to be the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we wrap up for today's show, we're going to end with what has been a hot topic for recent weeks and months now, and that is the increase in match ticket prices for next season. Obviously, you've got the brand new fan advertising board and the trust have opposed these increases. So, Hollie, what do you make of the increase in match ticket prices? Can you understand why the club have done it, and should it be reversed?
I don't think it's going to be reversed. I think they've gone too far now, and that's high respects. No, just for me personally, I'm probably not going to be able to make it to a game this season. I can't keep justifying spending money for. Yes, okay, it's my fault that I live down south now, but I can't justify spending for travel, spending on ticket, spending the day. Like it's too much for me now. So in that kind of respects, I obviously don't like the ticket increase. I think the timing of it, again, that's my special word of tonight, is timing. They just always get it wrong. You can't freeze the season tickets and then all of a sudden decide you're going to rise the tickets up, especially with last season's performances. And it's like, oh yeah, we've got your new manager in. Everybody's happy, we're all loving life. Let's increase the ticket. That's kind of feels like what's kind of happened, but actually we still haven't addressed the other problems at the moment. So personally, I think it's a silly decision. Again, so untouched with the fans, and that's just the way that this kind of club goes at the minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Crackers, what do you make of this increase? And can you understand where the club are coming from? And obviously you've got the fan advertising board and the trust that have opposed it. So can you see there being a point of a fan advertising board if their opinion's not going to be listened to? Also the last few years that we've seen as well, can you understand it?
The trust do sterling work, absolutely sterling work. I take me out of to them. They get pulled pillar to post by the club and run round, and then they also get a lot of stick from the fan base. But all they're doing is just trying to get a good deal and a better experience and a cheaper experience for the fans. So I just don't understand where people are coming from giving them stick. But ultimately, they've got no political teeth to be able to compel the club to do things. The new fan advisory board supposedly does have, we've also got FFP as well. How much notice is taken of that? When money starts getting involved, any rules, any laws can always be circumnavigated, ignored, bypassed, eased around. It's just the way it is. So, I mean, the club's obviously looked at this. They've seen that their casual match day goer over and above the season ticket holders, where they're getting a lot of day trippers. So, you know, you get a lot of overseas fans going to the games. Korea, America, Australians, a lot of people come to London, and a lot of people will pick up a ticket for a game, not particularly being a Spurs fan. I've done it myself when I've gone to the States. You know, it's like, do you want a ticket for the baseball at New York? I went along. I wasn't particularly engaged with it or rooting for one side or the other, but they had their $70, $80 out of me for the ticket. Ditto when I went over to Florida and I went to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, went along for the day. So, you know, me and plenty of others on holiday. So, you know, they're obviously looking at this, seeing people coming to London, buying tickets, and they know that if it's 70 quid or 85 quid, they'll still get that 85 quid because people on holiday, it's another 15 quid, isn't it? The people that get hurt are those that are not season ticket holders, but want to go on a semi-regular basis because they're long-term fans. That middle ground gets hit, but do they care if it's a bum on seats? They don't really want me there from a business perspective, because I'll go and I might buy a pint before the game and maybe something to eat at half time. You get somebody from out of town, what an experience. Or let's go in the club shop. Oh, let's pick one of those shirts up as well. So they're obviously taking a lot more money from those casual trippers. One of those would probably be the same sort of revenue streams into the club as 4 of me, 5 of me even. So if they do get a few empty seats, they're not going to be that troubled over it, and they're not getting empty seats either. So this is what they're going to do. So I'm with Hollie. I can't justify spending that sort of money on a ticket now. Thankfully, I do get invited from time to time, people with corporate tickets, and I go along, and very grateful for that, and I get to go. But other than that, am I going to pay out 75 quid to go and 80 quid to go and see Tottenham versus Fulham? No, I'll probably just pop along down to Dorking and go and watch them, and throw a few quid their way instead and get me football fix.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, a lot of fans will feel like you for sure, Crackers. Marlon, so your thoughts on the increase in match ticket prices? Is it too late to be reversed? Should it be reversed?
He's never going to reverse it. That club it's been hollow for years, right? They're never going to do something like that. If it was down to the club, half the season ticket holders wouldn't be season ticket holders. They'd reduce that as well, so they could put it on general sale. That is the way the club works, right? And for me, I completely agree with Crackers and Hollie. It's a lot. Well, do I want to pay 75 quid to go watch Spurs against Fulham or something like that? No, of course not, right? I've got other things that I'd rather do, but I just watch it on the TV. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to... Look, I've refused to pay the ticket prices for the last few years. I just think it's outrageous anyway. So it's a case of, unless we start speaking... Look, unfortunately, even if we speak as fans and don't go, as Crackers said, it's going to go to the day trippers. And there's only going to be a certain point that stops, right? Because Spurs have to do well as well, right? And I think Levy forgets that part, right? Yeah, you've got Son for now, right? But when Son goes, you are hoping that the South Koreans will stay and support Spurs. And I know a lot of them do. So hopefully they are going to keep that. The Americans, on the other hand, they will come. But it's a case of, you know what? If he's going to go down that route, let him. But he's like, they don't care about the real fans no more. They haven't done for years, and they're just showing themselves now. They at least are being honest about it now, right? Yeah. Because as soon as the season ticket was frozen, you knew it was going to come from elsewhere, right? And you have to remember, the tickets that actually go on general sale, there's not many of them, right? So it's a case of that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, all right, if we can't do the season ticket holders, which is about 40 odd thousand, there's only another 20,000. So we'll try and make as much money out of them as possible. And as Cracker said, the day trippers are going to spend way more money than the 42,000 season ticket holders that are going to be coming week in, week out, because they know they can't be spending that much amount of money every week. Where the day trippers will go into the shop, they will go and buy, they're going for the experience. And Daniel Levy, from day dot, since that stadium was being built, has always spoke about the experience. But it's never been about the real fan. It's been about the experience. So that's what it is now. Unfortunately, this is the club we've got, and we have to accept it because we've allowed it for this so many years. So it's either we kind of accept it or we do something about it, and that's what you're kind of in the scenario now.
To be fair, though, Harry, I don't think this is just a Spurs issue.
No,
I think this is now football wide.
Yeah.
So this isn't, Daniel Levy sitting in his evil castle like he's often portrayed, rubbing his hands together and pay up.
Do you know what, Crackers? It's quite funny you say that.
Yeah, they are all at it.
But they've all seen the way Spurs work and gone, well, he's getting away with it. They're making a whole load of money, and they're not even in Europe all the time. So Arsenal are going down exactly the same route, right? You've seen their fans complaining about the ballot process that we introduced for tickets. So Liverpool have done the same. They've seen the way that they all want to make money. Manchester City will probably do the same as well. They and Man United. It's all happening. But
they're in Europe. We're not in Europe.
Yeah, but you look at the other clubs as well. They're not. Yeah, they're in Europe now, but it's one season. If I was sitting there saying, I say, but how many years have we been in Europe? There was going to be an increase eventually, all right? And it's not right. But every other club, Crackers is absolutely spot on that every other club is doing it. It's just that we get done first. We're the leader of the pack. And a lot of people, a lot of the clubs will look at Daniel Levy and go, well, that makes business sense. We've got to go down that route. It's just not good. That's it now. Football's gone. Football's gone from the normal man, and that's the thing. It's at the end of the day, we want Tap Sober and Mickey Van der Ven, but where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from the corporate things that we all want, the TV revenue money and all that. And this is how they want to do it now. So it's a strange thing to be in. But yeah, the regular football fan is not going to be there anymore, and it's going to slowly die out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, that is it for today's show. Thank you all for tuning in. It's definitely been a good one, and thank you all for the questions you put forward as early as last week on Twitter. As long as I'm allowed to call it Twitter for now, I'll continue to call it Twitter because it will take me ages to get my head around, I promise you. Thank you all for your comments throughout tonight. Much appreciated. Reminder, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so and helps the channel and show grow. If you are listening on any podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review. That'd be massively appreciated. Firstly, Crackers, thank you for coming on once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you for people who don't know? Because I'm sure lots of people would love to know.
I'm at Mr. Cracknell across all the socials, and that includes X, Twitter, Twitter X, Meta, whatever it is, Mumsnet, justgoodfriends.com or Friends Reunited, everywhere. So TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. Should I be on TikTok?
I should consider it.
I'm nearly 54, man. I can't go on TikTok.
Never too late.
You think so? At Mr. Cracknell and Venulever, find me knocking about Lanzarote and up to no good here, or interviewing the players at Legends Nights. But thank you, Harry, for having me on, and seeing Marlon and Hollie and everybody that tuned in, and the lovely comments. Really nice. Really enjoyed it. Hit subscribe.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Always love having you on. As you know, thank you also to the chat. I'm glad Crackers mentioned that. The support has been amazing for the show tonight. So thank you very much. Hollie, thank you for coming on. What was your first time? Better late than never. And I thought I would return the favour as well. You can't even turn up on time when I'm returning you the favour. But no, Hollie, people who don't know, Hollie had her own show. She was not deliberately being late. She was continuing with her show. We all know how wonderful Hollie's show is. So, Hollie, where can people find you for people who don't know?
Oh, thank you, Harry. Like I say, I've really enjoyed tonight. It's quite nice to be the person that's being asked the questions than the question master. So thank you. So yeah, you can just find me at Hollie Agombar across all socials. I do a show, like you mentioned, Harry, 7 p.m. every Monday. I called it therapy last year, as we kind of all needed that last season. But no, that's literally all I do. Like I say, make sure you're all subscribing to Harry. He's doing amazing work at the minute. So thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thank you, Hollie. First, Emily, I'm sure. Marlon, I think your second or third time on the show. If I'm right, I can't remember, to be fair. You know, my memory's like, where can people find you for people who don't know?
Yeah, View from the South Stand TV, or just type in at Southview Coys into YouTube. You'll find us on Twitter, Instagram, and whatever else we're on. But yeah, do you know what? You come over on a Tuesday. We do a great show where we're trying to figure out players and rumours and stuff. That Ashmack does a great job on player profiles. And
he gets really into it. I love
he gets
them.
really into it. It's
Really
actually
into
there.
it, yeah.
A lot of people have said the work he does is like top notch. And actually, we've looked every single player that we've signed. We had looked at 2 or 3 weeks before they signed them. Even James Maddison, right? And we've done everything on him and everything. So I think Spurs might be watching as well, watching Frasmatics reviews. So you never know. But no, yeah, View from the South Stand TV, come and find us over there. We're getting back onto doing the swing of things and some match reactions next year. So, but yeah, come find us there. Yeah,
thank you very much. Thank you, all three of you. So go check Crackers, Hollie and Marlon out on all socials, and go check out Last Word on Spurs, Hollie Hotspurs, and A View from the South Stand. Thank you all once again for tuning in. I'll see you this time next week, Monday, 8 p.m. So thank you very much. But as we always say on this show, come on you Spurs.